Okay, historical fiction. Historical fiction stories take place in the past. Historical fiction stories have characters, settings, and events based on historical facts. The characters can be based on real people or made up. The dialogue is made up, but the information about the time period must be authentic or factually accurate. The stories explore a conflict or problem that a character has with him or herself, with other characters, or with nature. Okay, you're filling in the blanks. The information about the time period must be blank or blank. Everyone should get this correct. It's on your screen, word for word. Authentic or factually accurate is correct. Okay, I'm going to remind you guys that when I look at your answers to give you points for doing this, it shows me your name. So just remember that, because some of you lost points yesterday because of the things you typed. Okay, purpose of historical fiction. It blends history and fiction into stories that could have actually happened. It adds a human element to history. Readers can learn about the time period, how people lived, what they owned, and even what they ate and wore. Readers can also see how people's problems and feelings have not changed much over time. In addition, historical fiction entertains us as we escape into adventures from the past. Okay, you're filling in the blanks. Blends blank and blank into stories that could have actually happened. Don't forget that if at any time I see anything on your screen other than this presentation, expect lunch detention. Waiting on one person. History and fiction is correct. Okay, how you should read historical fiction. The title gives you a clue about an important time, place, character, or situation. As you read, note how the characters' lives are the same as and different from people's lives today. Note the main character's thoughts, feelings, and actions. How do they change from the beginning of the story to the end? Ask yourself, what moves this character to take action? What can I learn today from his or her struggles long ago? As you read, that's supposed to say note how the characters' lives are blank and blank, people's lives today. Same as and different from, or alike and different. Who tells the story in historical fiction? Authors usually write historical fiction in one of two ways. In the first-person point of view, one of the characters tells the story as it happens to him or her, using words such as I, me, my, mine, we, us, and our. In the third-person point of view, a narrator tells the story and refers to the characters using words such as he, him, and his, she, her, and hers, and their. The narrator may also refer to the characters by name. For example, Ditanu felt a twinge of sympathy. Which two points of view are usually used to tell historical fiction stories? You're typing the answer. Remember, you're typing two different points of view. Okay, first person or third person is the correct answer. Okay, there is one of you who every single time you do not type the answer, you are losing points for today's grade. Keep that in mind. Okay, number your answer box 1 through 6 and type the 6 historical fiction features. Okay, so in this little diagram, here are the 6 historical fiction features. The characters lived or could have lived in the time and place portrayed. The events occurred or could have occurred in the setting. At least one character deals with a conflict, self, others, or nature. The story is told from a first-person or third-person point of view. The dialogue is made up but may be based on letters, a diary, or a report. The story takes place in an authentic historical setting. Don't forget to number your answer box 1 through 6. Everyone should be typing. It's right in front of you. CJ, stand up. Stand up for a minute. Okay, so in this diagram, these outside circles are the different historical fiction features. Okay, there are 6 of them. So in your answer box, you should have numbered 1 through 6 and typed what's in these little outside circles. There's absolutely no other option here. There's nothing else on this slide except for this diagram. So obviously the answer is going to come from the diagram. That's not difficult. It's fine. Okay, oxymorons. An oxymoron is a literary figure of speech usually made up of 2 words that contradict or oppose each other. An oxymoron can be used for dramatic effect, as in the expressions deafening silence or peace force. It may also have a comical or humorous effect, such as jumbo shrimp. Authors use oxymorons as a way to make readers think about the text. When readers find an oxymoron, they should think about why the author chose to use it. Is the author trying to be dramatic, humorous, or sarcastic, or is there some other intention? Okay, in your box, you are typing an example of an oxymoron. Okay, the screen gives you 3 examples. You are choosing one and typing it in the box. Y'all stick with me. We're almost finished with historical fiction information. Then we're going to read a little story, a very short one. Deafening silence, peace force, jumbo shrimp. Any of those could have worked. Those are the 3 examples that the slide gave you. Okay, descriptive language, adjectives and adverbs. Authors want readers to see, hear, smell, touch, and taste everything through written words. They also want readers to identify with the characters' actions. To accomplish this task, authors include descriptive language in the form of adjectives and adverbs. Sound, smell, speed, size, and distance adjectives may describe objects and story settings. Adverbs may describe characters' actions by showing how, where, when, and how often things are done. Okay, adjectives may describe characters' actions by showing how, where, when, and how often things are done. This should be true or false. Choose your answer. Okay, 4 of you got this correct. It is false. Okay, right here, the last sentence says, adverbs may describe characters' actions by showing how, where, when, and how often. Okay, so if it said adverbs instead of adjectives, it would have been true, but it did not, so it's false. Okay, compare and contrast. To add more depth and detail to stories, authors often compare or contrast information. In historical fiction stories, authors might compare or contrast characters or perspectives about certain events and use the comparisons or contrasts to advance the plot. Many times, authors use signal words and phrases to indicate a comparison, such as both, along with, or a contrast such as however or on the other hand. Other times, authors compare and contrast without using signal words and phrases.
Teachers, please excuse the interruption. Can you please check your email regarding a survey from Dr. Walters right now, please? Thank you.
Okay, in the box, type number 1. In the box, type the number 1. Beside number 1, give an example of a comparison signal word or phrase. A comparison signal word or phrase beside number 1. Okay, then type the number 2. Beside the number 2, give an example of a contrast signal word or phrase. CJ, you can sit back down. Okay, comparison could be both, along with. Contrast could be however, on the other hand. Those are just a few examples. Okay, so the story that we're going to read, you're going to need a little bit of background information about in order to understand. Okay, so this is some background information about Hammurabi's Code. Okay, Hammurabi was a Babylonian king who ruled most of Mesopotamia around 1700 BCE. He is best known for leaving behind a set of 282 laws, some of the first ever to be written down. One famous steel or stone pillar engraved with Hammurabi's Code of Laws has lasted through the centuries and was recently discovered by modern archaeologists. Writing was a fairly new invention in Hammurabi's time. Instead of pens and paper, scribes, which are people trained in the art of writing, used the ends of river reeds to press marks into tablets made of clay. This writing system, called cuneiform, used pictures and symbols. Putting laws into writing was important development for the growth of civilization because it allowed anyone who could read to see what was legal and what was illegal. Imprinting the laws into stone meant that they were permanent and couldn't be changed based on the ruler's whim. Okay, in the box you have 5 questions. You need to number your box 1 through 5. Beside number 1, you're going to answer, who was Hammurabi? Type it beside number 1. Did you type it? Okay. We're not answering out loud, we're typing in the box. Okay, beside number 2, you're answering the question, what region did he rule? Number 3, you're typing what he is best known for. Beside number 4, what type of writing system he used. And beside number 5, where was the stone pillar with his laws uncovered? Okay, now, who was Hammurabi?
A Babylonian king.
Okay, he was a Babylonian king. What region did he rule? Mesopotamia. Okay, what's he best known for?
Leaving alone 282 laws.
Okay, he was the first one that wrote down any laws. What type of writing system did he use?
Something that starts with a C.
Okay, the cuneiform, which was pictures and symbols. Okay, so it wasn't letters like the alphabet, it was pictures and symbols. Where was the stone pillar with his laws uncovered? Iran. Good. Okay, the pyramids of Egypt. This is more background information. Ancient Egyptians believed in life after death and that people needed a large place to hold the things they would need in their next life. Egyptian rulers called pharaohs built huge stone tombs called pyramids for this purpose. These royal tombs were more than burial places. Part of a pharaoh's spirit was believed to stay with his or her body. The tomb was a shelter for both. Egyptians also believed that pharaohs continued to watch over their country, guiding their successors from the afterlife. The pharaohs' bodies needed to be embalmed and preserved as mummies. Their spirits also had to be supplied with the same things a person needed in life on earth. Therefore, a tomb was stocked with food and clothing and also rare and expensive treasures, such as jewelry, furniture, dishes, weapons, precious oils, cosmetics, and plenty of servants in the form of statues. Putting all those valuables into one place tempted thieves who risked death to rob the tombs. Tomb builders tried to foil thieves by constructing elaborate passageway systems, complete with dead ends, filled-in tunnels, and hidden entrances. Still, many tombs were robbed soon after, or perhaps even before, they were sealed shut. Okay, you have 4 questions for this one. Beside number 1, type why tombs were built. Beside number 2, who built them? Beside number 3, what was a tomb stocked with? Number 4, what did this stock attract? Okay, why were the tombs built?
To hold their
Okay, what? Okay, why did they bury them with a bunch of things?
for their afterlife.
because they believed that they were going on to this new life and they needed all of their possessions and things to go with them. Who built them?
Pharaohs, the Egyptian rulers.
Yep, pharaohs, which were the Egyptian rulers. Okay, what was a tomb stocked with?
Jewelry,
Food and
clothes.
Yep, jewelry, food, clothes, oils, like whatever these people would have needed to live on earth was also in their tomb with them for their next life. Do what?
Why would they need jewelry? Why do you need jewelry?
That, I mean, to them, that was a necessity back then. Okay, they had very few things, and jewelry was one of them. Okay, what did all of this stuff attract?
Robert is attracted
I didn't write
robbers
that down.
that attempted to steal their stuff,
Yep.
and they faced them.
Thieves that would break in to these tombs with dead bodies and steal all of the precious things that were in there.
Hey, Miss Bridger, do they still have their stuff up in there?
Yeah, some of them do.
Really?
If it didn't get all stolen out by someone, yeah.
You can go out there and find one, Jackson.
Okay, so that information is background information that you needed to know for this short story. Okay, this is a historical fiction short story called The Strong and the Weak, Hammurabi's Code. Okay, as you can see, you're going to have several questions for each page. So while I'm reading to you, be sure that you're following along so that you have enough time to answer the questions. Okay, Dotanu placed the chisel tip precisely where he wanted it and chipped away a piece of white gypsum. He was carving a plaque following a pattern his master had created. His master was Belshunu, a stone carver whose reputation rivaled the great artisans of the temple complex. 5 years before, Dotanu had been a 10-year-old waif on the streets of Babylon. That means he was homeless. Despite Dotanu's unkempt look, Belshunu had seen something in the boy that he could bring out, the same way he was able to see inside a slab of granite before turning it into an object of beauty. Belshunu had offered Dotanu an apprenticeship as well as a home. What is an apprenticeship? Okay, yeah, basically you're working for free, but you are working with a professional to learn their trade. Okay, so an apprenticeship and a home, a job and a home. Actually, Dotanu had been living in a home of sorts. It was the home of his uncle Lamusa, a sometime wine merchant. But Dotanu spent as much time as possible outside because Lamusa begrudged him every scrap of food and often raised an angry hand to him. Dotanu had been overjoyed when Belshunu offered to take him on as an apprentice, and Lamusa was happy to no longer have to feed or clothe the boy. This morning, Dotanu was perfectly happy. A breeze flowed into the workshop from the sun-drenched courtyard, cooling him while he worked. Belshunu was nearby, finishing an important project. The house was roomy, there was plenty to eat, and Belshunu and his wife made cheerful company. The future looked very bright. "Where is the stonecutter Belshunu?" a well-dressed woman as she stormed into the shop, followed by a small crowd of servants. She wore jingling golden jewelry. Dotanu stared in amazement. Wealthy women usually stayed at home, delegating any outside business to men or to servants. They rarely went parading into craftsmen's workshops. Okay, number your answer box 1 through 4. Okay, beside number 1, you're answering what the setting of the story is. Okay, so where and when you think this story takes place. Type it beside number 1. Okay, and then beside number 2, you are making an inference about Detanu's personality. So what is something that you can gather about his personality from what we know about him so far? Okay, and then beside number 3, you're making an inference about Belshunu's personality. What type of person you think he is. And then number 4, how are Belshunu and Lamusa different? Okay, so where did this story take place?
Egypt, it was back in the day.
Okay,
4,000
Something BC.
Something BC. Very long time.
a very, very, very long time ago. I think it was like 1700 BCE. Okay, we read that in the background information. What specific city does this story take place in? Okay, Babylon. Yes. What inference can you make about the boy's personality?
He was a good person, but his father was mean to him.
Okay.
Whatever.
How did he feel about Belshunu taking him in? Okay, so he had a grateful personality. Okay, he wasn't getting paid. Okay, he was basically working for free, but yet he was still grateful for that opportunity. Okay, what inference can we make about Belshunu's personality?
That he's a good person for letting him off the street to work with him, so now he can have a place to live.
Okay, he's a caring person because he took in a random homeless boy off the street, offered him a job and a home. Okay, how are Belshunu and Lamusa different?
Lamusa would be mean to
Detaну.
Gitanu, and the other guy was like he offered him jobs, but yes.
Okay, so Lamusa, Detanu's uncle, was a very uncaring, unfeeling person. Okay, not only did he deny food to the boy, he also beat him. Okay, and he was also drunk often. So he was uncaring and unfeeling. Okay, but then we have Belshunu, who took a random 10-year-old homeless boy off the streets, gave him a home and a job. Okay, so two very different father-like figures here for this boy. Okay, I'm Belshunu, grunted the stone carver. I am the wife of Hoodoo Libby, said the woman. Uh-oh. Detanu had heard about this grand lady. She was actually a widow, but as was the custom in Mesopotamia, she was called by her dead husband's name. The wife of Hoodoo Libby was known for bickering with craftsmen and bargaining with shopkeepers. No one dared tell the widow of a one-time high-ranking government official that she should stay quietly at home. I've heard you're an honest craftsman, she told Belshunu. I want you to make a votive figure. A votive figure was a small statue. Only priests could go into the hearts of temples where gods were worshipped. So wealthy people commissioned little likenesses of themselves to be placed inside. The statues could pray constantly to the gods, bringing blessings to those they represented. I'm afraid I'm busy with a royal commission. Belshunu showed her the stele he was working on, a standing stone taller than Belshunu himself. It's inscribed with King Hammurabi's laws. I can see that, the wife of Hoodoo Libby said. I'm able to read. Belshunu stared at the woman in amazement. Few men could read, and fewer women. Belshunu himself could not, though he had engraved the laws. A scribe and a court official supervised while he painstakingly copied the marks into the stone. Belshunu recovered himself. My apprentice Detanu will make your votive. Okay, we're going to pick back up with this slide tomorrow.